Hi all, a new day and new stories from Ocean Story. Just listen to this story. A turning point in my life came when I was 25 years old. My father remarried. His wife was Mary, a woman of mature years who had a grown daughter, Kayla. With their arrival in our home, a period of challenging challenges began. We all attended prestigious educational institutions due to my father's financial well-being. However, socializing with Kayla proved to be extremely difficult. Her unfriendly attitude towards me resulted in a series of conflicts that forced me to transfer to another school. But that didn't end our problems. Kayla started spreading untrue rumors about my personal life, trying to undermine my reputation. She even convinced my father and Mary to get my health checked based on her fictitious assumptions. After the test confirmed my innocence, Kayla didn't stop and continued to spread rumors about me at my former school. My parents, who had long since divorced, shared custody of me, and I spent a week with each of them. This period in my life was very difficult. Eventually, I made the decision to limit my interaction with my father to a few visits a month. When I went to college, our relationship cooled further. My father would occasionally help me financially and call me once a month, but that was the end of all of our communication. During these years while I was in college, my visits with my father were infrequent and brief, limited to 1 or 2 visits a year. During this period of my life, my heart was won over by Luis, a man of noble spirit and clear mind. He was 26 years old when our paths crossed. Our love blossomed quietly and gradually, like a flower in a beautiful garden. It was more than 2 years before I decided to introduce Luis to my father. Our union, strengthened by time and shared dreams, stood the test of candor and mutual respect. And now, this spring, our story will enter a new chapter. I am getting married. The marriage ceremony will take place on the seashore in one of the picturesque European countries, where the sand glistens under the rays of the sun and the waves whisper affectionately about the vows of eternal love. Both our families of wealth and respect decided to make this day unforgettable. We have limited the invitation to 80 guests, offering them accommodation in an exquisite hotel where every detail will remind them of the joy and solemnity of the moment. Guests will only have to pay for the cost of their tickets, while everything else will be provided to them as our hospitality. And of course, Kayla will not be counted among our guests. 3 months ago, planning began for the wedding, an event full of magic and joy. However, like dark clouds on the horizon, the shadows of past misunderstandings loomed. My father, knowing that I had no intention of inviting Kayla, suddenly expressed his strong disagreement. His words were like thunder. He demanded to invite her, against all my feelings and memories. My refusals were met with intransigence. My father declared that without Kayla, I could not count on his financial support. My mother, like a guardian angel, sided with me, stating that she would take care of all expenses. My father, on the other hand, gave me an ultimatum: either Kayla or he wouldn't show up at the wedding at all. My grandmother and aunt, the epitome of wisdom and family tradition, insisted on inviting Kayla for the sake of family peace. But there was still a doubt in my heart. Is Kayla a part of our family after all she has done? Should I really invite someone who had hurt me for years to one of the most important days of my life? My father was aware of all these issues, but never took them seriously. My grandmother, who lived in another country, was only partially aware of the situation. My aunt, on the other hand, knew the whole truth, as her daughter, my close friend and maid of honor, had witnessed all these difficulties. And here I stand at a crossroads, weighing in my heart and mind what to do next. How do I reconcile the desire to preserve the family bond with the need to protect my own well-being and happiness on this special day? My grandmother, whose words were always a reflection of wisdom and experience, expressed her concern about how people would perceive a wedding where my father was absent. Her voice sounded soft, but the weight of unresolved issues could be heard in it. My aunt, thoughtful and considerate, warned me of possible regrets in the future. Life is too short, she repeated, reassuring me that my father loved me despite all obstacles and that one day I would feel nostalgic for his presence. My relatives didn't call me an idiot, but their words were filled with regret that my father had put my half-sister first for 11 years, leaving me in the shadows. My grandmother and aunt were now trying to convince me to invite Kayla for the sake of preserving the family bond. I couldn't help but wonder, where was this concern for family values when I was suffering from Kayla's intolerable behavior? Those years of bullying, manipulation, and lies had left an indelible mark on my soul. When my family was falling apart because of Kayla's actions, no one close to me suggested that she, her mother, or my father stop this horrible behavior. I would have been willing to sever all ties with this family if they had acted in this manner. Eventually, I will stop trying to convince you to rebuild the family relationships that have been destroyed by Kayla, her mother, and your father. If anyone asks why your father didn't attend the wedding, tell the truth. He was invited, but he chose not to attend. It casts a shadow on his reputation, showing his lack of care and attention. Let it be on his conscience to explain to everyone that your grandmother is more concerned about your appearance and social standing than your feelings. Don't give in under pressure or you'll regret it for the rest of your life. It could ruin your memories of your wedding forever. To be honest, I'd even threaten to withdraw the invitation from Grandma if she keeps insisting. But about your father, no, he doesn't love you. It's a harsh truth, but the inability to care is the inability to love. I'm sorry to have to say this, but your father doesn't love you. If he did love you, his stepdaughter would have been kicked out the door long ago for the sake of maintaining a relationship with you. And if it was about his wife, he would have taken action as well. But no, they both remain, and you are off his radar. It's too obvious to deny. Wake up from this nightmare and live your life. A story that really surprised me. There came a moment in my life, full of worries and excitement, the moment I turned 25 years old. Among the relatives and friends to whom I was devoted was my young niece, a grammar school student, a girl for whose fate and happiness I felt a special responsibility because I was her godfather. She is the only child in the family, and, it may be said, a little spoiled by attention and care. She turned 1 year old the other day, and this year her wish was to have a party in the style of Disney's Magical World and Encanto. My sister, with whom we have always maintained a warm and close relationship, asked me to reincarnate as one of the characters from the fairy tale, as we like to do for my niece's joy. I agreed without hesitation because it has always been important for me to give joy to children. However, this time circumstances were different. My wife, the future mother of our child, was 9 weeks pregnant and was experiencing all the hardships of this wonderful but challenging time. She was nauseated by odors, constantly feeling tired and sad due to lack of sleep. The night before the party she suffered through the night, and we both slept poorly. On the day of the party, which was to start at 2:00 p.m., my wife insisted that I go without her, assuring me that she felt well enough and could take care of herself. But I, torn between the desire to fulfill my promise to my niece and the need to support my wife at such a time, decided to stay home to comfort her and give her a chance to rest together. I texted my sister around 2:45 p.m., explaining why I would not be able to attend the party. Knowing my sister and her persistent nature, my wife and I turned off our phones in an effort to avoid her annoying attempts to persuade me to attend. As I suspected, turning my phone back on a few hours later, I found a slew of missed calls and messages. Among them were reports that my niece had had a major tantrum over my absence, which further weighed my heart down with a sense of guilt and responsibility. That day, as my responsibility as a godfather collided with the need to be there for my pregnant wife, my heart was overwhelmed with conflicting feelings. I had promised my niece that I would attend her birthday party, embody one of her favorite characters from the movie, and give her unforgettable moments of fun among the children. However, circumstances changed. My wife needed my support, and I chose to stay with her. Despite my explanation and attempts to convey my motives to my in-laws, my family blamed me for causing the party to break down. My sister called me an idiot for my broken promise, reminding me of the joy I was supposed to bring to her daughter. I reminded her that everything in life is fluid and that I had agreed 3 weeks ago without anticipating the present circumstances. After telling her about my wife's condition and my desire to be by her side, I was met with misunderstanding and recriminations. My in-laws argued that my wife was trying to pull me away from my family and that as an adult she did not need constant attention and was perfectly capable of being alone for a few hours. I met these words with anger, defending my wife's right to be cared for and supported, especially at such an important time in her life as pregnancy. I told my sister that if she had paid more attention to raising her daughter, perhaps she would not have thrown a tantrum over my absence. These words were spoken under the influence of emotion, but they reflected my deep belief that sometimes loved ones need to understand and accept our decisions, especially when they are dictated by concern for family and loved ones. The day I was faced with the dilemma of choosing between my beloved wife and my promise to my niece, a heavy burden of responsibility rested on my shoulders. The decision I made was the cause of a bitter argument in the family that ended in bitter insults. Almost all family members did not take my side, condemning my choice. They call me an idiot for choosing my wife over my niece, but I can't blame myself for it. My decision was spontaneous, and I recognize that the 15-minute notice before the party started and the subsequent disconnection of my phone may have caused frustration and misunderstanding. If someone had done a similar thing before my child's birthday party, I would have been upset too. I realized that my absence from the party could have been upsetting to my niece, especially because I didn't personally explain to her the reasons for my decision. Now that the whole family has been left confused and disappointed, I must face the consequences of my choices. This situation has been a hard lesson, reminding me that sometimes even the most sincere intentions can lead to unintended and painful consequences. I realize that many may perceive my choices as selfishness. I am willing to admit that perspective changes when an important event is canceled at the last minute for no seemingly good reason. Of course, my wife was feeling fine at the time, and I may have been wrong to blame her for my decision to cancel going to the party. This became a reason for my family to blame her for my choice, even though she insisted that I go. My tired state and desire for a nap may not have seemed good enough reasons for not attending the party. I recognize that my pregnant wife was fine during those hours, and I may have made the decision thinking more about my own convenience than my niece's feelings. I realize now that my choice may have left her feeling betrayed and disappointed. I owe my niece an apology for the fact that I promised to be at her birthday party and was unable to fulfill that promise. I should also apologize to my wife for unknowingly throwing her under the bus by blaming her for my decision. I realize that in these situations it is important to find balance and be more sensitive to the feelings and needs of all family members. My next story. My stepdaughter Mia, now a 23-year-old young lady, was fascinated by fashion from an early age, dreaming of one day having a place in it. When I married her father, she was only 15. Since then, I have watched her persistent efforts. She has taken many courses, striving to perfect herself in the art of fashion. Mia does have a taste in fabric and color selection, but alas, her design talents leave much to be desired. She is a talented stylist, but not a designer. My own journey in the business world began 16 years ago. My business was humble and small, with a limited budget, but over time I was able to expand. Now my company, although not the largest, has a significant presence in my region. As part of my expansion strategy, I started hiring young talented designers, aiming to ensure that my approach was fresh and innovative. My team and I select candidates carefully, as design is what we offer our clients, and it has to be not just good, but great, endorsed by an expert panel. I always strive for objectivity in my decisions, evaluating the opinions of all team members before making a final decision. My husband insisted from the beginning that Mia work as a designer in my company. However, I realized that with her current skills, it might not be the best decision for both the company and Mia herself. It was important to balance the desire to support my stepdaughter with the need to maintain high standards of quality and creativity in the business. I recognized that Mia did not have the skills to be an outstanding designer, but nevertheless decided to give her a chance to prove otherwise. I suggested to my husband that Mia submit a formal job application and provide the necessary paperwork to me and my team for a thorough evaluation of her skills and experience. I thought my husband seemed surprised by my suggestion to apply instead of immediately agreeing, but he still recounted this to Mia, who in turn expressed her gratitude in the message. I wasn't sure exactly what my husband had said to her or why she sent me a thank you message, whether it was sincere or as an attempt to deflect blame. Either way, the day of her performance evaluation came, and unfortunately, none of the team members saw her work as meeting our high standards. As a result, a letter was sent to Mia informing her that she was not hired. This decision led to a new conflict. My husband approached me claiming that this was unfair and absurd. He was outraged that I had not accepted Mia into the company. I tried to explain to him that the decision was based on an objective evaluation of her performance by a team of professionals. However, it seemed that my husband didn't want to hear about it. He felt that I should have made an exception for Mia despite her lack of qualifications. I tried to explain that it was important to maintain standards of quality and innovation in the design world, and that even in family matters, professionalism should be maintained. I tried to explain to my husband that in my company, decisions are not made one-on-one. We have a holistic evaluation system with multiple expert judges. He insisted that I change this system for Mia's sake. However, I realized that such a move would undermine my credibility with my employees. I knew that by making an exception for Mia, I risked losing their trust and respect. Moreover, if Mia got the position, her fellow designers would not be able to respect her as a professional. They will know that she was brought into the company not because of her skills, which are far inferior to their own, but because of her family connections. This approach jeopardizes not only the company's ethical principles, but also its financial well-being. After all, design is at the heart of our business, and compromises in this area can have irreparable consequences. My husband tried to convince me by listing the courses and jobs Mia had taken to succeed. But despite his efforts, I was forced to remain adamant. Mia still didn't qualify. She could try her hand at other places where her skills and experience would be appreciated. After all this, Mia wrote me a long message expressing her disappointment and resentment. She stated that she no longer wanted to do business with me. It was hard, but I knew that my husband needed to realize that being related to Mia did not automatically mean that he would hire her. A position in a company is not only a matter of opportunity, but also of responsibility, quality, and professionalism. The thought occurred to me that Mia could be quite successful as a stylist, given your comment that she is really talented in this field. Perhaps we should offer her a position as a stylist rather than a designer, which would allow her to showcase her strengths. Also, the opportunity to start her career as an apprentice might be more appropriate given her current skill level. This would allow Mia to gain experience and strengthen her knowledge before taking on more responsible tasks. Her dedication and diligence in taking courses and self-education is truly commendable. It shows her integrity and seriousness about her future in the fashion industry. Imagine her disappointment when her expectations of working for a company based on her familiarity with the owner are not met. It is important to understand her position and aspirations. The question arises, have you done anything to assist Mia in her professional growth? Was she offered constructive criticism, help with her studies, or an internship opportunity? Given that she is a close relative of yours and aspires to work in the same field, it seems logical that you could offer her mentoring and support. It seems that so far there has been no such support. I would like to help Mia. Perhaps she did rush into a job request, but we both know there is an element of nepotism in many industries, and fashion is no exception. Her job request was not frivolous. Perhaps we should reconsider not hiring her as a designer, but offer her another position where she can prove herself and learn and grow at the same time. Now I want to tell a different story. My wife and I, both in our 38s and I am a man on the verge of 40, have been finding solace and happiness in our marriage for 12 years. We have 3 children, teenagers and twins, growing up in our cozy nest, filling it with joy and bustle every day.